Hey guys, welcome back to a little piece of heaven farm. I'm out here in my garden this morning. It's kind of a rainy day here in Oregon in the valley. And there's some of my mint grown in pots. Over here I have some celery. Over here I got some Brussels sprouts. My elephant garlic. For the first time in many years I'm planting some kohlrabi. They're starting to come up. And here's some beets that overwintered. Looks like they're starting to go to seed. You can eat those leaves. And I've also planted some beet seeds in here, and they're all starting to come up. Over here is all my red wing onions, doing very well. I've already gave them nitrogen fertilizer twice so far. I'll keep doing that until about June or so, in late June or so, and the bulb starts to swell up, and then I'll stop fertilizing them. Over here is my second attempt of growing cool crops this year. I've been having something in there eating them, so I built these little cages over them, and ever since I did that, I no longer had anything in there eating them. Now I'll stand back here and give an overview of that cage I put over it. Over here are some red Pontiacs. These are leftover potatoes from last year. I just saved the small, tiny potatoes, and they seem to be doing quite well. And then just some more of my onions I had left. In this bed here, I've got some black Spanish radish. Doing quite well. Here's my kiwi, getting ready to bloom. I don't have anything in this bed yet. I plan on putting my tomatoes in that one. And over here, ever since I covered my cool crops to keep whatever's eating them eating it, whoever's doing it decided to come over here and eat all my carrots that were starting to come out of the ground. So I had to build a little screen on top of that, and so far that seemed to be working. Some radishes. Some rutabagas coming up. With that cage there, it's kind of hard to focus on it. In this bed here, there's some overwintering Swiss chard. Looks like there's plenty there to do another harvest. Some of it's going to seed. And I planted a couple rows of radishes. There's one of my leaf lettuce. And here's my russet potatoes. I did a video earlier on there how I started my russet potatoes just by cutting the eyes, and it seemed to be working quite well. And here I got some lemon balm. In this planter here, I'm going to plant my tomatoes. snow peas coming up on in the pot. I got some garlic grown in a kid's swimming pool, kiddie pool. Okay, I'll take you over into the greenhouse. As you can see, my tomatoes are doing very, very, very well. I was not expecting this much growth before I was able to plant them outside. I still have about another week or so before I can plant them outside. And they've already been setting some tomatoes. Before I plant them out there, a good tip here is to prune off all these lower leaves to get good airflow underneath the tomato plants. Here's some of my overwearing peppers I just kept in the greenhouse during the winter. I'm just getting ready to bloom. Another pepper that overwintered in the greenhouse, and some of my geraniums that I overwintered in the greenhouse. And there's a fuchsia down there hidden, doing quite well. Here's some of my Empress tree cuttings. So far they seem to be doing quite well. Time will tell. Here's my blueberries blooming. So I should be eating some blueberries here in a couple weeks. Strawberries are doing quite well. Got plenty of flowers. I built this little cage to put over it last year, mainly to keep the deer off it. That's about the only problem I have around here, is deer likes to eat the plants. Sometimes I think they just like pulling them out of the ground. And ever since I put this cage over it, I no longer had any problems anybody eating my strawberries. And the side bonus so far has been keeping the birds out. I haven't seen any evidence of strawberries being eaten by birds. Here's some other cutting attempts. We'll see how well they do. And some more blueberries. Over here is my golden chain trees that I grew from cuttings. Got a whole row of them. Here's my mini orchard. And then down there is a peach tree, a white peach, a multi-pear tree. Got a couple cherry trees, plum tree down there, nectarine. Another one of my apple trees. You keep your fruit trees pruned down short like this so you don't have to have a ladder to get your fruit. Makes it a lot easier to maintain. Of course, all my fruit trees here are dwarf varieties. The only ones that's not a dwarf variety is that big monster that came with the property. That thing sets tons of apples. There's our rosemary. Somewhere in there, there's a pot that it grew in. I guess it's safe to say it outgrew its pot. Volunteer cedar tree. Some tulips. Not sure what that is. I think it's some kind of dogwood bush. Some more tulips. And this one here is a variegated dogwood. Just getting ready to leaf out. See, it's kind of green with white edges. These are our volunteer hollyhocks growing in the crack of the sidewalk. Well, yeah, guys, thanks for stopping by a little piece of Heaven Farm and checking out my garden tour. And hopefully you learn something about how to keep critters off your plants that like to eat them. I'm not sure what's going there eating my cool crops. There's no evidence of any kind. I do have slug bait in there in case it was the slugs, but I have noticed that ever since I put the cages over my cool crops. I no longer had any problems anybody eating those plants. So it's probably maybe my wife thinks it could be a squirrel, maybe a mouse, maybe a rabbit, who knows. Anyhow, thanks for stopping by. Go team woodcutter.